Welcome back to another episode of Social Seance Society. My name is Tara, and as always, I'm joined with my co-host, Jessica.
Hello.
This week, we are joined by Alecia and Sierra from the Twisted and Uncorked podcast. We have a great conversation that ranges from cryptids, how there's a little bit of truth to every conspiracy theory, momming in the true crime world, and so much more. But with that, we're going to go ahead and get right on into this episode. Well, ladies, thank you for joining us here today on the Social Seance Society. We're super excited to have you. In case any of our listeners may not have heard of you guys, can you give them a little rundown on each of you and your show?
I'll let you go first, Sierra.
Oh, thank you. I am Sierra. I am in Alabama. We do our show from different countries. I'm in Alabama. She's in Canada. About me, I'm a mom of two. I am newly licensed as an esthetician. I love reading, and I've been interested in true crime since I was, a child, probably when my mother was watching Law and Order and all of those things. Probably way too young to be watching those things. And then as I've grown, I have also been delving into paranormal interests. I'm from Ohio, which a lot of people, unless you're from Ohio, don't realize how fucking scary Ohio is. Ohio is known for having the most haunted houses in America. It's a spooky place. It's a lot of fun. I'm just naturally into true crime and spooks, I guess. But yeah, we do our show from across the country, and we do true crime, specifically serial killers, disappeared episodes, murderless crimes, unsolved cases, and then we also like to do cults and hauntings and conspiracies as well. Yeah, that's me, Alecia.
Basically anything twisted on our show, and you can find that every Tuesday wherever you listen to podcasts. But yes, it is definitely a fun element that we do record from two different countries. I'm the Canadian half from Vancouver, and many people do think I'm American. A lot of our listeners are American. I'm not offended by it. Most of my friends are now American, so I'm good with that. But I myself am probably the producer of the show, I guess. I dive headfirst into every editing project, everything I can possibly learn to make the show better. And on the side, I like to read and watch true crime documentaries. Yeah. Nothing too crazy, but I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for asking us to come on.
Yeah, absolutely. So since you guys are in different locations, how did you guys meet and everything? I don't think I know that part of your lore.
I love this story, but also it's almost embarrassing. Both of us had podcasts before this. I had a podcast with my friend who was more local to me, and she had a podcast with a friend who was local to her. And as fate would have it, my podcast friend was like, I can't do this anymore. And her podcast friend was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And we had done something like this, an interview with each other's podcasts previously. And so we were just messaging man, this sucks. What are we going to do? I'm here for you because I'm going through the same thing. And then we were like, wait a minute. We both have this problem. What if we just joined and fixed it? So we joined forces and started all over.
I love that.
Learned throughout the process that we are basically the same person.
Yeah.
And I always make the joke when we listen to earlier episodes, because not only are you learning the ins and outs of podcasting and finding your voice on the show, but you're also learning a lot about each other in the process. So it's kind of like watching our friendship evolve in the beginning. And then now we've found that kind of comfortability and what we prioritize on the show and stuff too. And now it's there's no beats skipped at all. Everything is very smooth, but I always laugh when I listen to earlier episodes because we're so polite to each other.
You're like, this is my customer service attitude right now.
Yes.
Happening?
Exactly. I don't want to weird her out too much. She may not want to come back.
Yeah. Jess didn't have a choice. She's just stuck with me either way. So, we're good.
I'm okay with it. I'm totally okay with it. No, Tara and I have been friends for almost 20 years. Basically, I met her right before I turned 21. And so that's how I kind of mark the time of it. But when she asked me to do this podcast, our original podcast, I was just yeah, sure. She wrote the most beautiful novel of a text message. It was literally one of those you have to scroll up on the screen to get to the bottom. And I wrote back, okay, sounds good. That's I was but that's kind of our friendship in a nutshell. It's one of us will pour our hearts out to the other one, and the other one's meh, I got you.
Yep.
Love you too. Okay.
That's me. I'm lucky if Sierra answers me in the same day.
Yeah. I'll get to it.
I'm like, I know
Oh
you're
my
on board
God.
already. It's fine. I'm just going to do it.
So I don't know any other moms we've ever interviewed or recorded with before. So I do want to ask Sierra, once you became a mom, how did that change for you as far as like your consumption, like how you viewed true crime or anything? Or
Oh,
did
yeah.
it have any kind of influence?
Yes, it did actually, in such a weird way. Like I said, I've been watching scary stuff and true crime stuff since I was young. Always loved it. When I was pregnant with my daughter, I started having nightmares. Terrible, terrible nightmares. Like about the most random things. I used to fall asleep watching Criminal Minds. I loved falling asleep watching it. I could not do that when I was pregnant. Like I had nightmares about being sexually assaulted and all kinds of stuff. It was awful. And it felt so real. And now I think I'm a little bit better. My daughter's 12, so it's been a while. But throughout these 12 years, I've been trying to work on like lucid dreaming and stuff, which is probably weird, but whatever. I can have a nightmare and wake myself up. Like in my dream, I can be going through something awful and be like, oh my God, this is so bad. Just wake up already. And I wake up and then I'm scared to go back to bed, but at least I can take myself out of it. I used to not be able to do that. And so that's actually how I got into podcasts, is because I could hear it and it was fine. I didn't have dreams about it. But if I saw it, that was the problem. So I stopped watching scary movies. I stopped watching true crime shows, but I still wanted to know the information. And so I started listening to them or reading about them. And that's how I combated my terrible dreams. I know a lot of people, actually recently, I went through this with someone where I mentioned something about, I'm okay with my kids listening to podcasts, to true crime podcasts. Well, my daughter anyway, she's 12. I don't know about my younger son. But anyway, the issue was I was like, I don't want them to hear, sexual innuendos or stuff like that, because I don't want to explain that. And they're like, oh, but sex is so much more natural than crime. Why would you let them listen to the crime and not want to hear sexual innuendos or jokes? And I'm like, for me, crime is natural. Unfortunately, it is. It's gonna happen. And I feel like even as a 12-year-old, I don't want her to be scared of it necessarily, but I listen to it and I'm okay with her listening to it, so that if you ever do find yourself in that situation, your brain has the information it needs to fight instead of flight or freeze. I want you to be able to have the information somewhere in the back of your head so you know, or at least can process, what am I supposed to do in this situation? A lot of people don't like that, but that's just the way I feel about it.
The most recent episode we did, it was like 2005, and we're like, how could you not see this coming?
Right.
Or how could you not have already had your barriers up? But it's like, this was before the ages of us digesting every form of true crime that we could. Like, yeah, we had forensic files and that kind of stuff. But I think that it almost makes us safer in the real world. So I get what you're saying there.
Yeah.
If that makes sense to you guys too. As true crime indulgers.
Yeah, no, my daughter's 12 as well. And she started watching NCIS when we still lived in Alaska. Obviously, I was watching it with her, but it's funny. She would be fine with shows like that, or like when I'd watch docs and stuff, the ones she could watch. But for the longest time, she still did not like spooky horror or anything. But like the last, just like 2 years,
Something
or
like
so,
that, yeah.
like she's really gotten into it because I introduced her to like Scream and like Fear Street and less scary stuff. So I'm like, yes, turn it to a weirdo with us. But yeah, that's kind of like my experience too, because I understand people want to protect, their kids, like obviously, but with how society is now, it's more responsible to have those age appropriate conversations with them.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys can't pick the aliens because we know those are true, but I want to know what conspiracy theory do you 100% think is true? Like your favorite one.
I should probably own a tinfoil hat. I don't know if there are many that I don't believe are true. Okay, I don't think the earth is flat, and I do believe birds are real. Other than that, I think all of the conspiracies come from something. They're all a little bit true. My favorite is definitely JFK, but I feel like that one is so widely believed that no one's like, oh, that's crazy. Like, duh, the government killed JFK. You know what I mean? Maybe the weirdest one is dimensions. I believe in alternate dimensions. I think cryptids and ghosts and even aliens are probably all the same thing. We just see them differently, and they're just slipping through dimensions.
I love that. Which, like, they were talking about that with those congressional hearings.
Yeah,
So
they
that's
used the word
super
interdimensional being. They used that
Yep.
word.
Mm-hmm.
It's freaking crazy.
I
I
mean, the
know.
government is going to hold everything close to home, kind of like the belief of aliens, until they're finally like, yeah, okay, they're real. So I'm just waiting it out at this point.
I know. Same. What about you, Alecia?
On the same wavelength as interdimensional and like string theory and that kind of stuff, like glitches in the matrix, like I think that that was actually a suggestion of yours for one of our special topics too. You thought that would be a cool one. I think that there are different universes where maybe like similar things are happening, and I think that it is possible that things bleed over a little bit, because there are doppelgangers and there are like sightings of stuff that just can't be easily explained away. So that's one I always really like. I also, oh yeah, okay, we can't talk about aliens. We'll get there. But again, like I believe that the earth is round and birds are real too. I can't accept it any other way because I'm such a nature animal lover. But another conspiracy theory that I definitely believe, this is so hard. I don't know. We didn't do conspiracies on like my previous show, and Sierra was like, why are you not doing that? We need to make that a category. And I love that she's added that in. On the one hand, it's like the most challenging one, because a conspiracy can be anything from a small part of a really crazy overlapping true crime case to like
the government is involved with everything.
Yeah, exactly. Another one that we know, has been predicted since we were probably in elementary school reading 1984 is that Big Brother is always watching. Like I'll talk about something and immediately my phone is like, oh yeah, do you want to see an advertisement for this? I'm obsessed with wiener dogs. I think that they are just the cutest dogs ever. I don't know what it is. They make me want to weep. I love them so much.
Aww.
And literally that's all I get on my FYP now is like baby wiener dogs. I'm not upset with it, but
what's crazier to me though is when you haven't even said the word out loud yet. You're just thinking it and it shows up on your feed. Like what just happened?
Yeah, there's too many. I don't know. I want to subscribe in all of them. Leave it with me. I might, while we're talking, it might come to me. I'm like, I have something on the tip of my brain, but I also haven't finished my coffee yet, so I probably just sound dumb right now.
No, you are totally good. Jess, what's yours? What would you pick?
Oh my gosh. So I love a good conspiracy theory and I will run with it and like double down on it. I mean, JFK is like one of my favorite ones. I mean, I think it's the whole, like, I wouldn't go, like, I don't subscribe to like the government did it because I was like, well, that's weird. Not like that's weird, but like, it's more like the government covered up the fact that like there was an accident, like that Oswald shot, it actually hit a sign. And then a Secret Serviceman just like accidentally shot him because his safety wasn't on or whatever. And so that's kind of what it is. I just think that if a government is going to kill a president, it's going to be a plane crash because there's only so many people who can really understand like aeronautics and all that stuff. So it'd be really easy to confuse the masses because all you'd have to do is talk in some sort of like jargon.
But
would,
an
like
accident?
gloss over.
Sorry, I don't want to get into like the entire JFK conspiracy right now.
You're
but I'm
fine.
just saying an accident is too easy. Like I feel like the government would be killing someone to cause chaos. An accident, like an airplane, is like, oh, it's a sad day. No, they want people to be crazy. They want the chaos of who did it? This guy did it. You know, like everyone team up on this guy. I don't know. That's the way I think of it.
I guess it does give it like there's like a built-in scapegoat. Like when we think of like Oswald, like he's is a terrible, terrible scapegoat. Like, you know, I love it. Like there's a Bones episode, it's like one of my favorite, where they like basically this government agency comes in and is like, can you solve this crime? But you get to know nothing about it. And basically they figured out it was like JFK. And so then they like redo they set up an experiment to see if it could be done with the rifle and everything like that. And Booth, who's like a sharpshooter, makes it. And they're like, yeah, but Oswald wasn't. So like you could make that, but could he have?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, or the guy in the back who shot him is just like, you know, It was a plant, and he did that.
Right.
And then, of course, like, I love cryptids and everything like that, which I believe.
I was gonna
just
say cryptids, but I think that they're real. Like, they're all
They're
real.
definitely real.
There's no disproving it. Like, look at the Kraken and stuff like that. The things you used to believe were like cryptids, but are actually real animals. Like, it's giant squid.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I think the conspiracy theory around cryptids is that they're these real things, and that Bigfoot is probably just like a bear of a type that we don't know. And there's sometimes like Tara and I are reading these like cryptid stories, and we're like, that is definitely a gorilla. That is definitely they're like describing a gorilla.
Those are my favorite ones to cover on the show for sure.
When you're just like, this is not, no, I think it's more of like humans themselves are just conspiracy theories, because we just, our mind goes into like different places, and we create a narrative that makes everything bite-sized and easy for us to like kind of understand. And sometimes sometimes it's not like, I don't want to say logical, but sometimes it's like, it has to be like, I believe in ghosts, but like someone would be like, it has to be a ghost that's like moving my lipstick around my coffee table, and it can't be that it's their cat. You know, I think humans are the best conspiracy theories, actually.
I kind of
just make it up.
Is there one cryptid that you guys wish that there was more information about, that are maybe more of the elusive type? For me, mine's the Fresno Nightcrawler. I need to understand ghost pants more. There's like 2 videos on the internet, and I'm like, what the fuck are these?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I know there's plenty of info, but I would always love way more information on Mothman. He's my favorite. So I'm
Same.
just like,
Do you watch the new Unsolved Mysteries, like new deep dive?
I haven't.
On Mothman? Oh my god. Okay, so the newest series of Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix, they just did another deep dive into Mothman with new information, new sightings, and they have like a really crazy theory about where they come from, and there's like a whole other group of sightings in Chicago. I don't know. Me and Sierra kind of believe that Mothman is like a harbinger of like something, like warning people that something bad is going to happen. Like, I don't necessarily believe that he has ill intent. He's the anti-hero of the story.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think. I don't recall any story where Mothman has ever attacked a person. It's just more like,
no, but they blame the
lurking.
bridge falling on Mothman. I think he was on the bridge to warn people, hey, this is about to fall.
No,
and other people
legitimate.
are like, he made it fall. No.
I think it's episode 77 or 76, somewhere around there. Sierra did a really, really good coverage of Mothman, and then she did like deep dives with like the Men in Black and like related stories to it. And she did such a good job. So you guys definitely have to check that out.
Hell yeah. I love that. Mine's boring. Kurt Cobain didn't kill himself. I'm sorry.
Listen, we can say that about 18 million different celebrities, and I believe those conspiracies too.
Right?
Yep. Courtney Love.
My new favorite conspiracy internet celebrity death is Liam Payne. The amount of like stories that are like, and that one's heartbreaking to me because the 13-year-old, how old I graduated high school when One Direction was discovered, but that like innocent part of my life, I'm just like, I want to hold on to it so much that I don't want to read about it, but it's also so sudden and so sad that I'm like, I need to understand. Like, yeah, that's a scary one to jump into right now.
And they've arrested people.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see what's going to unfold there. And they have like a lot of CCTV footage of like certain things happening around the hotel that it's just like, what the fuck is going on? Like his Rolex being missing. Like, I mean, yeah, he was known to go to Argentina like quite often. That was his favorite hotel to stay in and stuff, but it's still like a country with not as much income as we have in like the US and Canada and stuff. So it's like kind of scary to think that you could be targeted for something that small. I don't know. It's weird. That's my Reddit thread right now.
I don't know anything about that, and I'm going to deep dive after this.
You're like, that's
I was going to fill you in. And speaking of celebrities, another really cool conspiracy theory is like the celebrity doppelganger, like that celebrities have been killed off.
But Avril Lavigne is Melissa. Okay, I will die on that hill. That is not Avril Lavigne. That is Melissa. That's one of the weirder ones that I believe.
Okay, I need to I'm like very like surface level for a lot of conspiracy theories, but I'm just saying after this alien bullshit, well, I don't want to say bullshit because they're supposed to be protectors of us. So I find that super interesting. I believe anything at this point, if I'm just being honest. I just believe
If there's
anything.
enough evidence and enough of an argument, for sure, why wouldn't you have an open mind to like at least
Exactly.
explore it a little bit?
And in the past, like the government has admitted to so many conspiracy theories actually being true. A little at a time, they're like, yeah, we did that. Yeah, that happened.
Think of like J. Edgar Hoover. Like when he was tapping phone lines, that was a conspiracy. People were like, he's doing it, and they're like, no, he's not. And then he died, and then they're like, yeah, he did this. There's like hours and hours of tapes of this. And so like there's a lot of things. Like I remember like way back when I watched Loose Change, which is like the conspiracy theory of the 9/11. And when you watch it,
I'm scared that when I watch it, I'm going to funnel down a rabbit hole. Okay, like
I did.
But I want to watch it so bad because that is one that I'm on the cusp of believing and not believing.
It's a really hard pill to swallow because like, and I think this is why like my brain refuses to accept it. Like, like, cause they do lay out facts and stuff in there, or like, I'm just going to say alleged facts. Cause like, it's not, I don't want people to come after us. When you start watching it and things start lining up and you're like, oh my God. But then my brain was like, I don't want to believe this because I don't want to live in a world where this exists.
Right.
It's scary when those pieces start to click into place and you're like, no.
It's like I had to tell my brain, no, this isn't real. This is just someone who had too much time on their hands. But I also believe in like the whole timeline merging, which is like sometimes when I think of like celebrity doppelgangers, I just think that it's like when the timeline merged, that person came over here. And that's why there's like the whole like Avril Lavigne Melissa thing, that it's like actually it was Melissa from a different time, like that they swapped or whatever.
That's so cool interesting.
Yeah.
I think that all of the Mandela effects are that as well. It was the other timelines shit.
Yeah, I agree. Like, especially us as millennials, like we're the center of so many Mandela effects, like Bean Berenstain and like Fruit of the Loom and Monopoly and like everything that we had as kids that now it's like, wait, what?
And they messed with that on the Hadron Collider way too many times when we were kids. Okay, stop touching that stuff.
For me, like Tara and I had one where I was like, my whole life, I thought my heart was like under my left breast. Like, I don't know why. Like, I remember learning about it.
Put your right hand over your heart.
You're right. It was a whole thing. And then one day I'm like, just like on the internet and I see this thing where it's like, it was a Mandela effect. And then I text Tara and I was like, where's the heart located? Because I wasn't going to like preface it for her. And she's like, in the middle of your chest. And I was like, no, it's not. And I had like a literally, Tara was like,
it's thicker on one side.
She was like,
my timeline it was, okay.
I was like, it was on the left side. Like, because think about like movies, like when they stab someone in the heart, they never stab in the chest.
You're right.
Like in the, except for in Scream 4 when she like stabs Charlie in the heart and he goes, my heart. And I was like, oh my God, it's like the only one. But most of them they do off to the left.
Even in action movies, when they shoot right there on the left.
So I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy to think that the heart was on the left because that's but also like maybe like my theory with that is that they did it not in the heart so that it's a little less realistic. But I also think that I honestly believe that my heart was like sitting under my lung, like right here.
Yeah.
I love that though. No, it makes sense when you look at like certain films and things. It's like, yeah, that's basically what they were trying to teach us. So, that's cool.
Can I tell them my Star Wars and entertainment alien theory?
Yes, please.
Yeah. I told you last night. I'm sorry. I keep talking about aliens because I just fucking can't stop. So I was like, okay, before I say it, now that I've thought about it more, they're probably in space and the ocean. I said to her, I was like, what if they've known this whole fucking time that they are in the ocean and not in space, and that's why they made all these movies like Star Wars, all of that shit, like everything's set in space, so we're conditioned to think aliens are in space, so we don't figure out where they're actually at. Yes, and we're usually terrified of them because they're killing us. But I know with this one, they're saying they're protectors, and they're like they'll be near like where military bases are and things like that. And then I went even deeper and I was like, holy shit, this makes sense why there's so many sightings and encounters in Alaska, because there's like 4 bases up there and we're right next to Russia up there. So I'm like, holy fuck. But that's just where I'm at with that one.
And then like the
Oh,
polls, it's like, why don't you want us to go past certain locations? Like, why can't we explore certain parts of either side of the earth, right? It's like, what are you hiding there?
And they tell us all the time that the ocean is like 85% unexplored.
Yeah.
So it's
that
like,
is why it's the most terrifying thing in the world.
Someone told me, I heard it, I don't remember where, probably one of my little brothers who are way smarter than me, said that Elon Musk discovered another ocean. Is this real? Like under the ocean, another ocean.
I heard something about this.
Beg pardon.
I know.
I know people were joking that he came from, like, he's an alien and
I would not be surprised. I would not at all be surprised if he was an alien.
This motherfucker just came from nowhere. I swear. That's how I feel about him.
Yeah.
Like,
totally
who the fuck
agree,
are you?
Sarah.
I didn't even, he's from like South Africa or something.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that for a few years. I genuinely did not. It was so
he just appeared.
He appeared here and was rich. And C2, you know what? This also like can tie in time travel. I don't remember how much they talked about, but you know how we see like people compare like celebrities to like, you know, 1800s photos of random people or whatever. So I'm like, oh my God, it's just a whole thing. I don't even know. I'm just very mind blown by it all, because I'm normally not a super conspiracy theory girly. Like whenever we cover them, Jess usually takes the lead on those. So this is like very out of character for me to be super invested, but it's aliens. So, you know.
No, I totally agree. And I now have a TikTok rabbit hole to go down with this whole 8th sea inside the earth. Yeah.
He launched it on the Joe Rogan podcast. So it always gives me pause.
Yeah, agreed.
Making up
but
shit.
Joe Rogan himself is a conspiracy theory.
He totally is. But he's got the largest, probably one of the largest podcast audiences ever. I take everything that he says with a grain of salt, but at the same time, this looks kind of legit. We were talking about sharks and stuff when it came to the ocean and aliens, and it's like, why are sharks trying to get out of the water?
Yeah,
like, what
that
are you
scared me. All summer long, there were so many shark attacks down here in Florida. And I'm like, why are they coming to the shore? What's down there that they are coming up from? You know?
Shit.
Did you guys see there's a guy that when he goes near the ocean, sea life just comes up to him?
Is he Jesus?
Poseidon?
I love that. There was
all of the above.
Is he Jesus? Is he Poseidon? No, but like footage of him, and he's like sitting in like one of those Adirondack chairs, like sitting on in like his feet are in the ocean, and there's just like all these sharks and just stingrays, and I'm like, is this fake? Is this fake? I need to know. But they're like scientists are studying him because they think like maybe he has too much mercury in his blood, which then when he puts his feet into the ocean,
he's an alien,
right? So he's the fucking alien, and these are his like Aquaman is literally just an alien guy.
Yeah. Was Snow White also an alien?
Ooh.
Probably. Well, I get called Snow White all the time because I'll go for like a walk in the woods with my friends, and they're like, why does everything just come out of the woods and follow you?
Alien. You're an alien too. You just don't know it yet.
I'm good with that.
Oh my God.
And like there's like a theory too that like in terms of like the ocean, that they're like hiding stuff down there. Not necessarily alien related, but like, have you guys heard the megalodon theory of like them still having megalodons down there in like a secret tank or like aquarium? And it's like, first of all, no thank you.
Right.
Now it sounds like we're watching Despicable Me.
Where does the writers of Despicable Me get these ideas from, Sierra, though?
True.
No, I've heard that there's like some big like ocean cage, and that they have like at least one megalodon in there, and they just like, and it gets fed because the holes in it are big enough for like other animals to get through, but like it can't get out.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay. Also, my new favorite thing is that T-Rexes were dragons.
I have seen this and I love it.
That. Yes.
Because when they started looking, the reason they thought that T-Rexes had tiny arms is the bone structure. And then they compared like they moved, instead of like the way that they put them, like out, like you would think arms, they kind of like did them backwards. And it's the same as like an ostrich. Like the bones shape is an ostrich. And I was like, oh my God, dragons have to be real. Dragons are just chickens now.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. There are so many like shows and movies and things that have dragons featured in them that it's like, one, how do we know so much about a mythological creature? It's probably just like a version of a cryptid that has evolved into a chicken. Totally agree with that. But I think that they have to be real. And I forget, it could have been fake, but I remember reading something that they found bones that they weren't sure if they were dinosaur or like some sort of dragon, like flying creature that they hadn't yet discovered. And I'm like, dragons are real. Like, come on.
There's a whole website from this guy who talks about dragon / pterodactyl, because he doesn't know if it's, dragon or dinosaur, sightings in America. I think most of them are in California, but like this guy,
the one that we talked about with Kaylin. Yeah.
Like this guy full on researches sightings of dragons in the sky, and like he's like a scientist.
There's like a whole website.
Yeah. I can't think of the name of it right now, and it's driving me crazy, but it is so interesting.
I think I still have it in my search history. I'll send it to you guys afterwards because it's crazy. Like he has like sketches and like photos and like timestamps of like people seeing these things, and I'm like, what? Like I think New York like is a big hub spot for it over the
I think he said something about how the New York and specifically Hollywood area is so known for it because people will see it and assume it's a prop for a show. They'll see it and they're like,
make sense.
"Oh, I'm not going to report this because it's just whatever show is in town," so they can freely be in those areas.
I wish that I had the financial freedom to devote my life to studying dragons. Like, I'm just saying.
Oh my God.
Like,
I mean, the government will fund anything. Like, at this point, the government will, like, if you come with, like, enough evidence where you're like, here's
I'll make
this,
a very
like,
convincing PowerPoint.
Okay.
Like, this is why you should hire me for this.
I just think that the U.S. government would rather not get caught with their pants down. So they're like, we're just going to fund this stuff because if you're right, then we will like capture the dragon and we will turn it into like, look what we caught. And I think it's all wrapped up in like research and development within the military budget because it's a lot of money that's put there. I really hope someone's getting dragon money.
I'm sure someone out there is.
And if that person is listening, please contact us immediately.
Yes.
We would also like to
come on our show.
Yeah, we'll volunteer.
We'll volunteer our time. We just want to be involved.
Right. Okay, I have one last tough question before we wrap up. It's not really tough, but it's like, you'll see. So each of you guys, if you could choose one episode to use to introduce someone brand new to your show, which episode are you picking?
Oh,
I know.
So we have like elements of like really heavy content, but then we cover conspiracies and fun and lighthearted stuff. So I think it's interesting that you get to see both sides of our personality and both sides of like what we bring to our show, because we always are victim first. So we try to like keep things heavier when the topic suggests that that's how you should react. So am I allowed to pick two? Like, am I allowed to pick like a funny, lighthearted one and like a more Well, Sierra recently covered a story that has not gotten enough media exposure that I really want people.
You're gonna make me cry saying a story.
She did such a good job on it. And hold on, I gotta get the episode number. Episode 167, Smile Through the Radio. It's an unsolved case, and it is absolutely heartbreaking. Like, her and I were both in tears by the end of the episode with just how beautiful of a person he was. His name was Stefan Egerton. Stefan Egerton. Yep. And he was a radio show host that was shot outside of his place of work, and we believe that there's like heavy police cover up in it. And so I've shared that episode with a bunch of different podcasts that have played it on their feed as well, just because we want it to get a little bit more notoriety. So for a heavier episode, I would definitely suggest that one. And for a fun, maybe more lighthearted episode, I would definitely suggest, I'm going to go back in time. I really liked my Unfortunate Cryptids episode where I covered the squonk and all of those like kind of funnier ones. And that one's episode 98. It's just like a series of unfortunate cryptids, and it was quite fun to record and have a good laugh at. So those are my 2 picks.
I love that. What about you, Sierra?
I am also picking 2, but not for the same reason. It's because it was a 2-part. Was it 2? It might have been 3. Our 100th episode was the West Memphis 3. And I feel so strongly. I am the kind of person, and maybe I'm naive, but I hate the possibility that anyone could be wrongfully convicted. Those are the cases that stick with me the most. And even in cases where people are convicted, and if there's like conspiracy leaning that they might not have done it, I always go in with, what if they didn't do it? You know, like it stresses me out so much. This is super controversial, but even Scott Peterson, I'm like, what if he didn't do it? Like, I don't know. There's not enough proof for me to say he for sure did it, even though
you could never
convicted.
Put us on a jury. We'd be like, oh, well, on the one hand,
so our West Memphis 3 coverage, we wanted it for our 100th episode because we wanted to deep dive into it. We read the book and we watched all the shows and did all the things. And I don't even think we did it enough justice, like for how big the case is. But it's at least a start of, you know, putting it all together the way that people's brains thought at that time, you know, with the satanic panic and stuff. And it just goes to show, like, times change. And so the things that you think in that era, you might not think at all the next decade. And you just made a huge life-altering decision for these people based on your beliefs that you only had for 10 years. And then you got over it. Like, it blows my mind that we can say things like, this person deserves to die because of this, this, or this, when 10 years later, you're like, oh, I don't even think that way anymore. So that episode, I think, shows how much we have poured our heart into cases like that. And I think if other people listen to that, if you like that, that's the way we feel. That's how emotional we are about the cases that we cover.
I love that.
It's not uncommon for one or both of us to cry, but I think that just shows how empathetic we are as people. But we do like to have fun when it's possible as well, because like you said, it's hard to be in that mindset for too long. So you kind of have to break your audience out of it a little bit by saying something dumb. I don't know. But we hope that your listeners like our show. I know that you guys have been doing it for 7 years now or something crazy. So
since 2018.
You guys are definitely people in the podcast industry to look up to. But
thank you.
We are so happy to have been on here today, and thank you for all of the fun questions. And I think we definitely need another conspiracy deep dive. Maybe you guys can come on. It's been 2 years since Tara's been on the show when we did the trick or treat episode, so I think it's about time.
Hell yeah! Just let us know. Let us know.
And so nice to meet you officially today, Jess, as well.
It's
you didn't get to be a part of that one.
I know I have a really weird work schedule sometimes. So a lot of times when we get invited on, it's I can't. But I want to see Sierra. My heart just grew so big when you were and Scott Peterson may not have done it. Tara, I could see her looking through the camera at me.
We got so much hate on TikTok for that because we played. We used to. It's hard to do stuff long distance, so we used to do a guilty or not guilty, and then splice them together. And we both said Scott Peterson probably not guilty. And the comments, people are like, "What is wrong with you? How could you?" And I'm like, he's an asshole. But there's just not enough evidence to say that he did it for sure. And now they have that new DNA sample from the van that they're getting tested. And it's curious to know if this is just one of those red herrings in the story that, he was a cheater, but maybe she was involved in a freak crime that is totally unrelated, right? She deserves justice either way, but don't hate on us guys for our opinions.
No.
You have enough evidence.
No, you're fine.
No, not you. Just people on the internet.
For sure.
we have comments that are like, this is dumb because they say Scott Peterson. Well, I was like full chested, like, I don't know that I can say he did it. Cause like I lean that way a lot where I'm like, oh, but there's a lot
of factors. Yeah.
Yeah. And just like it was like bad representation and things like that. And then like we sometimes get hate because like, you know, we kind of believe along the lines of the Menendez brothers like have served their time and should, you know, have a resentencing. And so
who was that girl?
That's
Alecia?
another one.
Who was the girl that we covered? The mom, the silly string on the grave.
Darlie
mom.
Routier. That was our another most hated.
We talked about how it's possible she didn't kill her children, and people went off. Like they were so pissed. And I was like, I just don't know. Okay. I'm not saying she's innocent. I'm just like, I don't know. Like people were fucking mad.
We're just here to present all of the information. And you can form your own opinions. That's totally fair. But don't hate on the podcasters for presenting theirs.
Don't kill the messenger.
Well, and also that's like our duty as podcasters is to not be biased, is not to come in and be objective.
Like,
yeah. Like, if I say this all the time, like before we started researching Scott Peterson, he to me was 100%, like 190% guilty. Like, dude killed her. There's no way. And then like just kind of like hearing timelines, understanding the like, because I live near like that area. So like I know how long it takes to get from Modesto to Berkeley. Driven it. It's not as quick as everyone says. And there's just a lot of things in my mind that I'm like, these don't make sense. And there are other things that were happening. There were people who weren't, you know, interviewed by the police that had seen her. I got really like, I was like, I don't know. People will come at me. Like I use this as like when tension gets really like, if I'm in a place and something gets really like tense, like, and everyone's kind of brooding, I'll be like, so does anyone else think Scott Peterson didn't kill his wife?
Yeah, that's so good.
And then
so good.
Because then people will just
redirect.
It's the craziest redirect, because then you'll get people who are like, you're an idiot, and they'll just like come straight and be like, well, like, hear me out. And they'll be like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I have seen it like change. Like one time we were having drinks and people were just get really heated. And I was like, I don't think Scott Peterson.
I need to break the tension a little bit, but also to redirect the tension.
Right? Like we were feeling a certain way, but like maybe we should feel a certain way a little differently.
I think that's one we're definitely going to have to explore again. Like, when we have more evidence, for sure.
Oh, for sure. And like, same thing with the Menendez too. Like we've had the same view this whole time. Yeah, we've had the same view the whole time because Jessica and I actually took the time to read through all of the court documents and really look at what actually was happening in court. But I'm glad though, as you know, as time has changed, the Me Too movement happened, you know, people are being more comfortable talking about this stuff because, you know, you think about it, it's that old thought of, oh, males are never victims of these kind of situations, but obviously they absolutely are. So for me personally, I'm very, very happy that they're being taken seriously all of these years later. And it sounds like from the minimal, what I've looked at, they have a really good lawyer who really genuinely cares. So I'm hoping something good happens for them because like my opinion is, and I know it's like half and half for people, but I think they've done their time. I think they do deserve to get out and try to rebuild what they do have left of their lives. Cause they're like what, in their 50s or something now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like
That's a big belief of ours too. Yeah. It's like, is the prison system really rehabilitating? Is justice really fair? Like there's so many external factors with cases like that it's like, are they at risk of reoffending, or is this a one-time incident, like you said, where they should probably get the chance to be humans again? Like being in prison for your whole life is just turning you into a monster. Like, depending on who you are. Like some people throw away the key, flush it down the toilet.
Out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just hope that they don't lose hope. I just hope they don't lose hope because like right now, like the DA is the reason why they were given a chance, but that DA lost his race. And so there's there's going to be a new DA. And so that person could literally be like, I don't want to fucking do this. I think one of the biggest things is like really what happened in my mind, what happened to the Menendez brothers was that OJ lost, or OJ, like
they were an example.
Yeah. OJ, I wouldn't say lost. The DA's office lost the OJ case. And they were not going to lose the Menendez case. And so they went after them harder than they normally would. And that's why they got what they got. And in between the mistrial and their second trial, that whole time frame was just a smear campaign. People were, saying what they wanted to say about them. And they made like 2 like TV movies, and like the Ryan Murphy one I refuse to watch because like I've just heard such terrible things about it. Really just kind of like putting them through. It's really like they talk about the situation in the court, I guess.
Yeah.
Like in the courthouse, the abuse. But then they just like kind of portray them as these like snotty little boys who were like, I murdered my parents to get rich. And it's like, they have come out and said that's not why we did it.
Yeah.
We did it for this reason. Yeah, we did it for this reason. And even today, like, even though we've had the Me Too movement, people are like, well, why didn't they just leave? Why didn't they do that? Why, there's so many other things. And it's
because so many people don't even realize what the fuck their dad did professionally.
Right now with the whole Diddy thing. Like, if you take like the whole Diddy thing and think about how much power he had, and then you think about like Jose Menendez, who was in the music industry, he had the same fucking contacts. He had the same fucking thing. Like, how do we not believe these boys? If we're gonna believe victims of Diddy, how can we not believe Eric and Lyle?
100%. I love that you put that correlation together because we want to cover Diddy on the show, but we're waiting for more information to come out about everything because we don't want to have to like retouch on it or miss anything or give an opinion that maybe might have changed with more information. But it's true. It's you have to look at everything so critically. And yeah, I agree. Like, especially abuse victims, especially males, they're often not believed.
Right.
Like, look at Justin Bieber. Like that, my heart breaks for that kid. I know he's the same age as me, but it's just like, it's just so damaging, like what you see out there. So it's like, I don't know.
And then everything makes sense.
Like,
when you think about, like, I've said this on ours, is like everything starts making sense. Like his actions, like the way he went like kind of crazy, how he was just like had no respect for authority, how he just kind of moved through life. He was hurting on the inside and was like, I can't say anything. And it's okay if I get a DUI because I have good lawyers and people who are abusing me are going to get me out of the situation. But no one's going to get me out of the abuse.
And because you brought up OJ, I will end on one last episode that people should check out of ours is episode 153, If the Glove Doesn't Fit. Sierra did a really good job with that story. And she's cringing because she hates covering like big cases that get so much attention, but she's also really good at sorting through all of that information and opinion. And everyone that's listened to that episode has been like, holy shit, I never even thought of that. So I'll leave you with that little
sneak peek in the episode. I say that OJ is innocent. So.
Interesting.
You guys got to check it out and let us know what you think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we dived super deep into OJ land last year.
Like 8 episodes.
Yeah, we did.
Oh my God.
I did listen to
it's
that.
our largest
Really
series.
well done. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So good.
It was a labor of love for sure. Like, and then Tara knows this. I got obsessed. Like, Tara couldn't talk to me for a while because it was just like, and this about OJ. She's like, can you just we'll record the podcast later? And I'm like, but I need to talk about it now. I read it's the topic
like your
that I
Roman
read the most
Empire
books on.
of the week.
Oh my God, OJ is the
Oh,
Roman
the book.
Empire.
The book.
And,
yeah, that's a
oh
great
my God,
listen.
I haven't even told Tara this.
Oh,
Someone I work with. Do you remember my old boss Janice?
yes.
She was part of that women's coalition that went and like talked to Judge Ito and was like, you're fucking with Marcia Clark. She was the one who went and talked to Judge Ito.
Bro.
And I was like, why didn't you tell me this? I would have had you on my podcast.
Literally.
Yeah. That is the first thing that
God.
you should say when you meet me, I think.
Genuinely.
I know. It was like, didn't know that about her. And it was like, her best friend is also like a VP at my company. And so she was like talking about it. And she's like, yeah, she did this. And I was like, excuse me, what? And then there's another OJ correlation with this guy that I work with. He was telling me his OJ like connection. And I was like,
What is that?
I can't remember. Like, because we talked about a lot.
We also have a connection, the Golden State Killer.
Oh, so the Golden State Killer, my last job, I worked with a woman and her husband knew him.
Ooh.
Yeah.
She was, there's like a story about a guy who was like had become friends with him because like the Golden State Killer had shot at him while he was like swimming in a river. The guy who got shot at was like best friends with my old coworker's husband.
What?
So they had like met him. He had been to their house for dinner. Like my
Thank
old
God
boss,
for therapy.
one of my old boss, she was on the swim team when she was young, and one of her swim team, like, is it mates? I don't know. Teammates, thank you, was a victim.
I remember that.
Jeez.
And her dad was a cop during that time, and she said like it was like overnight they went from like not locking their windows and their doors to like her dad was putting like extra measures on windows and places like that, and he had even been like, this dude's a cop for sure.
Wow.
Well, like we said, think about where the placement of the most power is and the most contacts and the most like biggest ability to be able to do the most damaging stuff. Cops are right up there.
For sure. But yeah, no, when I heard that about Janice though, about Judge Ito, I was like,
holy
oh my
shit.
God.
Yeah.
Mind blown.
I was like,
that is crazy. Well, thank you, Sierra and Alecia, for joining us today. Before we let you go, let everyone know where they can find you on social media and all of that good stuff.
You can find everything to do with us on our website, twistedanduncorked.com, and we release new episodes every Tuesday wherever you get your podcasts. We are at Twisted and Uncorked on social media. If you feel like following us there, we do like to do lots of fun stuff on social media that you don't necessarily get on the episodes, so, and updates and all that fun stuff. So yeah, you can find us there.
Also, all of our episodes are video recorded, so you can find them on YouTube as well as wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's some chaos, and we love it.
Yeah.
Love it. And listeners, we will see you back next week with another interview. Bye, guys.
Bye.